Hey YouTube fans, it's me the Story Man, and welcome back to my latest video. Today I'm reading a new story which I made from Chat GPT, which I call The Loving Abyss. So remember folks, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and please leave your comment down the comment section below. Remember, the story is made by Chat GPT, of course, but the voice acting, dramatic flair, storytelling, narration, and ad-libbing were all done by a real human being, which I call myself the Story Man. And oh boy, today is a weird weather today. It's pretty dark out there. It kind of represents this story can be quite bleak, but maybe a little bit light, but I don't know. I won't spoil it too much for you, so I'll read the story. Let's begin. Nobody remembered the first sentence. That was the first strange thing. People remembered the second sentence. They remembered the ending. They remembered the names of the characters as if those characters had once lived beside them. But the first sentence had vanished from history, swallowed by the millions of copies that came after it. The writer's name was Jeremy Gold. Jeremy. That's a pretty nice name though. For 37 years, Jeremy had written stories that nobody finished. That's kind of sad though, a writer that no one finished reading his books. I can imagine how hurtful that is. He wrote about kingdoms nobody wanted to visit, heroes nobody wanted to become, and monsters that were less frightening than the people who created them. His books sold dozens of copies, sometimes hundreds. Even though people don't finish them, people still buy them anyway. That's impressive. Even though people don't finish reading Jeremy's stories, they're still buying them anyway, which is impressive, admittedly. Then one winter night, Jeremy wrote a story called The Last Dawn. He did not know it was the greatest story it was ever written. I'm afraid he'll learn that it might be too good. Let's see how this changed. He only knew that for the first time in his life, the words came easily to him. He wrote about an ordinary man named Thomas who lived in a world slowly losing its light. The sun was disappearing 1 minute each day. Nobody knew why. I can imagine the artist is heading there, alright? No, nations blamed one another. Of course they would. Kings built enormous walls. Scientists argued. Priests announced prophecies. Oh boy. It's like the Doomsday Prophecy or something. I can imagine it's gonna be like that. If it does, then we're in a lot of trouble. Thomas did none of these things. He simply walked. He traveled through the dying world looking for his missing sister, meeting people who had become cruel, kind, ridiculous, brave, and terrified. There'll be a lot of those people. I can imagine people still retain their humanity, but if survival is at stake, that's when it might die, unfortunately. I pray that this poor Thomas might go this through. And let's see how Jeremy's going to deal with this story he made, as I will read his story. And slowly, Thomas discovered the truth. The world wasn't ending. Humanity was. The sun wasn't disappearing. People were simply becoming unable to see it. Ooh, yikes. Jeremy wrote for 18 hours without sleeping. Oh wow, the right there consecutively. I can imagine his fingers would have carpal tunnel syndrome like you would not believe. I can imagine how painful it is for 18 hours straight. God, I can imagine how tiring that would be. For your hands, that is, and sleep. When he reached the final page, he stopped. The ending was simple. Thomas finally found his sister. She was alive. I guess he didn't want to overcomplicate things, just to make it easy, a good ending. They stood together on a hill as the sun rose. Thomas asked, "Do you think we'll be alright?" His sister smiled like this. "No." Then she took his hand. "But we'll be together." Those were the final words. Jeremy stared at the page. For the first time in his career, he cried. He published the story 3 months later. Everything changed. People who had never read books bought it. People who hated reading read it twice. Wow. I didn't think he changed the world so much, even though he just wrote it. I admit though, that's impressive. Really impressive. I can imagine how he literally works. changed the world for the better or for the worse. Translations appeared in every major language, then every minor language. Someone translated it into Latin. Someone else translated it into Morse code. Morse code? I don't think people would need to hear it in Morse code, which is, I don't think that would be even possible. Well, if it was back then, possibly, but in modern times, it's pretty useless. A group of prisoners memorized the entire thing because they weren't allowed to own books. Oh, wow. I guess it's understandable. Understandable, though. Many inmates tend to be extremely creative out of desperation. I can imagine how they had to do that. Children performed it in schools. Actors performed it on enormous stages. Governments distributed copies. People quoted it during wars. People quoted it during weddings. People quoted it at funerals. Oh, wow. That book's getting quoted everywhere. I can imagine people would have memorized all those quotes by now if it's heard every now and then. Oh boy, they would have memorized it by heart. And then something happened that Jeremy had never expected. People began living by the story. Thomas became a symbol of kindness. His sister became a symbol of hope. Wow. I wonder how many comics changed the world, though. We all know a certain Man of Steel who changed the world because of his appearance in comics. And a lot of comics really changed the world. And some funny comics, like a certain redhead and his love triangle. The final line became humanity's favorite sentence. This seemed wonderful. People donated money to the poor. Countries signed treaties. Enemies forgave one another. Suicide rates fell. Wow. I didn't think a book could work that fast. That is impressive. Unless it's that good or game-changing like Superman or Captain America. Or Archie. Oh yes, Archie. Charities grew. For a brief period, humanity became gentler. I wish ours could be like that. I guess we'll never know. Jeremy became famous. Everyone wanted to meet him. Everyone wanted to know how he had written such a perfect story. He always gave the same answer. I don't know. That was the only answer he could give them, just that. But the world wanted more than that. They wanted another story. Jeremy tried. He wrote the second novel. It was good. Everyone hated it. They said it wasn't the last dawn. He wrote another. It was better. They called it disappointing. Soon Jeremy understood the problem. He hadn't written a great story. He had written a story so emotionally perfect that people no longer want anything else. Oh boy, I can imagine the lose the ability to have desire. That's to be human, to have desires, to have feelings, to want more. To be more than what they are. To lose that, they're no longer human. I can imagine how Jeremy realized he made it too good. Oh boy. The world began copying it. Every new novel had to have a Thomas. Every movie needed a final sunrise. Every politician quoted the last line. Every advertisement promised that people could be together. Oh wow. It looks like he changed the standard. That's a little scary right there. I can imagine how Mr. Gold felt when that happened. Oh boy. Poor guy. From creating a book that's so good, but now he just doesn't know what to do now. Children stopped reading other books because teachers told them that The Last Dawn was the most important book ever written. I can imagine a lot of books ended up like that. Then people started using it to justify terrible things. Oh boy, and there it is, the exploitation. A dictator stood before his country and declared that his enemies were the darkness, and that only he could lead the nation toward the final dawn. A revolutionary group claimed that violence was necessary because Thomas had walked through a broken world rather than accepting it. Oh boy, I can imagine that can be misused. How many times our quotes have been misused here, especially in our world. Oh boy. I can imagine that gives us a headache. I can imagine that's how we were thinking right now. Corporations printed the final sentence on products made by exhausted workers. Religious leaders declared the story proof of their beliefs. Oh boy, now religion? Oh come on. I think Mr. Gold did not intended for this to happen. I can imagine he was trying to figure things out. Oh boy. Government censored anyone who criticized it. Have you read The Last Dawn? Became a dangerous question. Oh boy. If you answered no, people assumed something wrong with you. If you answered that you dislike it, people assumed something was wrong with you. If you said it was merely a story, people became angry. Oh boy. You can imagine how he felt. That your book was so good, it became standard and no one wanted anything else, no matter how much you read. Oh boy. I can imagine the poor guys. I feel sorry for them. Oh, what they went through. Those poor people. I can imagine how Jeremy must felt right now. 20 years after its publication, a war began. Both sides carried copies of The Last Dawn. Both sides claimed Thomas belonged to them. Oh boy, now this. Jeremy watched the news from his small apartment. He saw soldiers walking through burning streets with the final line printed on their uniforms. But we'll be together. Oh my god, I can imagine Jeremy's just like this. Imagine it's like, oh god, what are they doing? I didn't want this to happen. I did not want any of this to happen. Oh boy, I didn't write my book to make them do this. Oh boy, I can imagine that's what he's thinking right now. Poor Jeremy. I feel sorry for him right now. He turned off the television. That night, Jeremy found the original manuscript. He opened it to the final page. The words were still there. He once thought they were beautiful. Now they frighten him. He took out the pen. He took his pen, prepared to write. For several minutes, he considered changing the ending. Then he stopped, because that would be another lie. The story had never been the problem. People have simply loved it too much. I'm afraid they loved this work too well. Just only that, nothing else. Poor Jeremy. They didn't like the author. They didn't love the author, fell in love with the author. They fell in love with his book and nothing else. Poor guy. They had mistaken a story about humanity for instructions on how humanity should behave. Oh boy. Yikes. Jeremy spent the rest of his life trying to explain this. Nobody listened, of course. Nobody listened, of course. When he died, millions gathered around the world. Ooh. I can imagine he died fruitlessly. At least he tried. His funeral was broadcasted internationally. Everywhere, people repeated his most famous words. Not the final line, not the words from the book. Something Jeremy had only said once years earlier when the journalist asked what he wanted his readers to learn. He answered this, and I quote, "A story should open the door. Don't build your house inside it." But by then it was too late. Someone printed those words on the poster, then a book, and a monument. Oh boy. And eventually the world began arguing over what Jeremy had meant. The argument lasted for centuries. Oh wow. That's a god. I can imagine for centuries. Lord Almighty. I can imagine how free that is. I can imagine how for centuries, for just one book, good God. His story survived all of them. It remained the most beautiful story ever written, and perhaps that was the tragedy. Oh boy. Because it had been so beautiful that humanity had stopped asking whether it was true. And once humanity stopped asking questions, the world became a much darker place. The sun was still shining, of course. There was still light. Everyone could see the day. But people simply forgot how to look at it now. Oh boy, that's a dark ending right there. I can imagine that's where we're heading. There's still sun, but people just forgot to look at it anymore. And that's why I called this story The Loving Abyss. And that's my story for today. So thank you for watching my video. This is the Story Man, signing out. So remember folks, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Remember, hit the like button to like this video. Please hit the like. Comment down subscribe. to get by clicking the bell down there for notifications and updates from me. Comment down the comment section below, down there, on what kind of story you want to make, and I will make it. Or anything, and I will make it. And I did already 3 request videos already. I did already. If you do all that, this thumb will get to the end with a thumbs up. Remember, like, comment, subscribe equals a thumbs up from me to you. So remember, folks, the story is made by Chat GPT, but the voice acting, dramatic flair, storytelling, narration, and ad-libbing were all done by a real human being, which I call myself the story man, and that is me. So thank you, and goodbye. Goodbye, 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 bye-bye. Bye.